He thought one slap would put my family back in line. But before this story ends, you'll see how that single swing of his hand exposed everything he was hiding. 1 second, my younger sister was standing in front of our house, arms crossed, breathing slowly, trying to stay calm. The next, crack. Not loud, not dramatic, just sharp enough to slice the air and freeze the whole street. His hand snapped across her face, her head turned with it. She stumbled back half a step, more surprised than hurt. I was standing right there, 3 days home from deployment. 3 days, still jet-lagged, still sleeping light, still trying to convince my body that this place was supposed to be safe. And I watched a grown man wearing a black vest that said HOA Enforcement raise his hand and strike my sister like he owned her. She didn't scream, didn't cry. She just stared at him, eyes wide, one hand rising slowly to her cheek, like she didn't quite believe it had happened. "That's what happens when you don't listen," he said. Not angry, not rushed, calm, like he'd just corrected a child. Before we go any further, tell me in the comments what country you're watching from, because what happened on this quiet American street didn't stay quiet for long, and I want to see how far this story really travels. To understand why a fake HOA cop felt bold enough to slap my sister in broad daylight, you need the backstory. My name is Ethan Smith. I'm an active duty military. I don't wear it around the neighborhood. I won't talk about it. I didn't move here to scare anyone. I moved here because my family needed stability while I was gone.
My younger sister, Lena, lives with us. She's quiet, keeps to herself, works long hours, smiles at neighbors even when they don't deserve it. The kind of person who apologizes when someone bumps into her. And that's exactly why Rachel Whitmore, the HOA president, couldn't stand her. Rachel didn't like our family in general, but Lena bothered her the most, especially after Lena didn't flirt back when Rachel's brother tried. His name was Todd Whitmore. Rachel appointed him an HOA enforcement officer the week after he moved in. No vote, no background check, just a vest, a badge-looking patch, and a brand-new power trip. Todd started small, lingering conversations, standing too close, showing up by coincidence whenever Lena came home from work. He asked her out once. She said no, politely. He asked again. She said no, clearer this time. That's when everything changed. Suddenly, Lena was non-compliant. Her trash can was too close to the curb, her parking was improper, her walking path was restricted. Every complaint came from Todd. Every time she reported it to Rachel, the answer was the same. He's just doing his job. I was overseas when Lena told me she felt uncomfortable. I told her to document everything. I told her to stay polite. I told her I'd handle it when I got home. I didn't think it would come to this. The day it happened, Todd showed up claiming Lena violated a temporary access rule. No paperwork, no notice, just orders. She questioned it. She asked for proof. She said she was done being harassed. That's when he slapped her. In front of me. In front of our house. In the middle of the street. And as I watched my sister's hand tremble against her cheek, something inside me went terrifyingly calm, because at that moment, I understood something Todd didn't. This was never about HOA rules. This was about control. And Todd Whitmore had just crossed a line he could never step back from. "Don't touch her." I said it so quietly that Todd almost missed it, but what happened next made sure he never would. I moved before my sister even lowered her hand from her face. No shouting, no warning, just motion. 2 steps, that's all it took. I closed the distance and grabbed Todd Whitmore by the front of his vest, my fist twisting deep into the cheap fabric just below his collarbone. It bunched up in my grip as I drove him backward, throwing his balance off instantly. "Don't touch her," I repeated. Low, flat, not a threat, a fact.
For half a second he froze, long enough to realize I wasn't another homeowner he could bully with a bad-shaped patch and a loud voice. Then panic hit. He tried to shove me away, palms slamming into my ribs, elbows flaring out, wild, angry, untrained. He wasn't trying to disengage, he was trying to hurt me and create space. Bad decision. I tightened my grip and yanked him forward instead, smashing him chest first into me, then driving him back again. His boots scraped against the pavement as he stumbled, breath catching hard in his throat. "Let go of me," he snapped, swinging his arm wide. I slipped inside it.
Still holding his vest, I turned my shoulder and drove it straight into his sternum. The air left him in a sharp grunt as his body folded forward on instinct. That's when I struck. Short, controlled, brutal. A compact shot to his ribs. The sound wasn't loud, but his reaction was instant. His body caved in. He gasped, hands dropping, knees dipping like the street tilted under him. He tried to straighten up. I didn't let him. I shifted my grip, pulled him in, and delivered a clean strike to his jaw. Not wild, not emotional, precise. His head snapped sideways. He staggered back, mouth open, eyes unfocused. He tried to say something, maybe a threat, maybe an order, but it came out wrong, wet, slurred. Desperate now, he swung again. I stepped through it. Then I drove him down, hard. I forced him to the pavement, and he stayed there on his side, clutching his ribs, breath shallow and uneven, not because I told him to, but because his body wouldn't cooperate. That's when the street exploded. Someone screamed, someone yelled to call the police. Phones were already up, recording everything. Rachel Whitmore rushed forward, shouting Todd's name, then stopped cold when she saw him on the ground and me standing between him and my sister. I didn't even look at her. I turned back to Lena. She was shaking now, eyes wide, cheek red where his hand had landed. I stepped in front of her without thinking. "He's not touching you again." Behind me, Todd tried to roll, coughing hard, one hand pressed to his side. He didn't get far. Sirens cut through the noise. Close. Fast. I stepped back slowly, hands open, breathing steady. Todd stayed down. When the first cruiser slid to a stop at the curb, every single person on that street knew exactly what had happened. And more importantly, they knew who started it. If you're locked into this HOA story so far, hit like and subscribe, because what happened next changed everything. The patrol cars arrived fast. Lights washed over the houses, red and blue flickering across faces that were still trying to process what they'd just witnessed. And that's when the questions really began. What the officers noticed first would decide everything, and Rachel Whitmore knew it the moment the patrol car doors opened. They stepped out already reading the scene. Todd on the ground, curled on his side, clutching his ribs, his jaw swelling, hanging wrong. Me standing between him and my sister. Lena shaken, but still on her feet. Rachel shoved through the small crowd the second she saw the uniforms. "Oh my God, Todd!" she cried, dropping to her knees beside him like a switch had flipped. Then she looked up at the officers, and her voice changed. Sharp, accusing. "He attacked my brother. Arrest him. Look what he did." One of the officers raised a hand. "Ma'am, step back." She didn't. "He's HOA enforcement," she snapped. "He was doing his job." The officer's eyes flicked down to Todd's vest, then back up at Lena's face. Red, swollen, a clear handprint already blooming across her cheek. Another officer stepped toward me. "Sir, are you injured?" "No," I said, "but my sister was assaulted." "That's a lie," Rachel shot back. I reached into my pocket slowly and handed over my ID. The officer looked down, then back up at me. His posture changed. Not fear, not respect, just clarity. "All right," he said evenly.
Let's slow this down. EMS arrived and went straight to Todd. He tried to speak. He couldn't. Blood pooled at the corner of his mouth as one medic examined his jaw. "Possible fractured mandible," she said. "Breathing shallow. We're taking him in." As they lifted him onto the stretcher, Rachel grabbed his hand, crying harder now. "Tell them," she pleaded. "Tell him what he did." Todd couldn't. While they worked, another officer turned to Lena. "Miss, I'm going to ask you a few questions." She nodded. Then she did something Rachel never expected. Lena reached into her bag and pulled out her phone. "I started recording days ago," she said quietly, "because he wouldn't stop." She handed it over. The officer tapped the screen and watched the first clip. The first video lasted 7 seconds, and it erased every lie Rachel Whitmore had just told. Todd followed Lena to the mailbox, standing too close, blocking her path, commenting on what she wore like it was his right. Another clip played. Todd outside our house late at night, lingering, watching, waiting. Then the screenshots, text after text. "You'll comply. I can make this hard for you. Rachel's got my back." The officer's face didn't change, but his jaw tightened. That's when a neighbor stepped forward. "I saw the slap," she said, "clear as day." Another voice followed. "I've got it on video." Phones changed hands again, evidence stacked up in real time. Not rumors, not stories, proof. Rachel tried one last time.
She provoked him. The officer didn't even look at her. "Ma'am," he said calmly, "please stop talking." Todd was transported under guard. 3 days later, after the investigation, the charges came down. Felony assault, sexual harassment, impersonating authority, coercion, stalking. Todd Whitmore took a plea deal. It didn't save him. 8 years in state prison, a permanent restraining order, a lifetime ban from any HOA or enforcement role anywhere. Rachel Whitmore wasn't spared either. Conspiracy, obstruction, retaliation, enabling assault. She lost her position immediately, paid $85,000 in fines, sentenced to 18 months of probation, and hit with a civil judgment in Lena's favor for damages. The HOA dissolved within the month. And that's how one slap, meant to silence my sister, ended an HOA tyrant's career, exposed a predator hiding behind a vest, and reminded everyone on that street of a truth they'll never forget. Power borrowed through fear always comes due, with interest. Subscribe to follow the moments when borrowed power finally comes due. Then like the video if watching the truth surface felt heavier than the silence before it. And tell me in the comments, when that line was crossed, was this justice taking its stand, or did it all go too far?